So I moved to this area in Kentucky early last year, and I knew I needed to find a spot to deer hunt. And I drove around some areas, found some spots on the map, and nothing was ever panning out, knocking on doors wise. So I got to calling buddies that lived around the area, and nobody could really lead me in the right direction to find a spot. Well, I had a friend that actually worked here at the airport, and I called him, and he's a flight instructor here. And I asked him if he could reach out to the management and see if there's any deer hunting allowed, because I got to looking at it on the map, and there was one small spot, about 10 acres, and I was like, you know, maybe I can make something happen there. And it just kind of got drug on. I never did get to hunt, and I never heard anything back. And I went to go film my buddy Nelson for the opener, because I didn't have any action, nothing going on, no deer worth really getting out and hunting for. So I offered to go film him, and we got some great first day success, and he got a good velvet Kentucky buck, and I was real happy for him. But while being in deer camp, my buddy texted me and said, hey, management said you can hunt and they would love to have you. So I knew immediately I had to get out here that next day. So I hurried back after we got Nelson taken care of. I hurried back and got over here, and I came to this spot, and I just threw out some corn, some Big and J, and slapped a camera on it. I didn't have high hopes, but I just was pumped to get a place to deer hunt.
What a trail. And look there. No corn left. No Big and J left. I brought an extra bag with me today just in case I ran up on something like this. There's a trail right here too. You might be able to tell right there. It's coming out of that really thick stuff all back in there. Just running all across the line of it. I hate to get right in their bedding area, but this is the only place that I can find a tree to hang. There's a lot more thick stuff down, and there's a creek down there. Get on the edge of it and set a stand up right in that tree and try to get them coming out of their bedding area. Just meandering around in here. I'm gonna check the camera now and we'll see what we get.
And then boom, a great buck showed up. And really, I didn't get too excited about it at first, just because it was really early. And then I have another place to hunt, but it's about, 2.5 to 3 hours away from here. So I can only hunt there on the weekends, and it's a pretty good sized property. So I didn't know if I needed to wait until late season and just see what showed up over there. Anyways, I got a hold of my buddy Nelson and sent him the pictures, and I sent my dad the pictures as well. And Nelson just immediately told me, hey man, you need to get in there and get after that deer. My dad is kind of like the cartoon of the angel and the devil speaking in each ear. I had Nelson on one side telling me, hey, I need to get in there and get after that deer, it's a great buck. And I have my father on the other ear saying, hey man, you might want to hold off. There's gonna be some good bucks show up on this big farm we've got to hunt. And I got to going back and forth and kind of thought about it it didn't take me long, just a couple of hours. And I called them both back and I said, well, I'm gonna go after him this weekend, because the next week we're leaving for elk camp, and I just want to see if I can get it done before then. But we got in there to set up the stand and realized pretty quick how thick it was, and there's only one tree that we could actually hang a stand in. And the canopy was so small. This is the only tree that you could get a stand in. It's the only tree that could hold a stand. And we couldn't figure out a way to get very high without cutting a massive shooting lane. And we just didn't have the time to do that. So what we did is we just hung a stick, and then hung another stick in the stand, and next thing we realized that, hey, we can grab the base of the stand. Like, it's just head level almost. But we're 20 yards off, it's super thick, we got the tree right in line with us, and we thought we could get away with it.
So we're just now getting set up. We're going after the airport buck, but it's so thick in here, I couldn't get up any higher in the tree without having to cut out a bunch of this canopy, and I haven't had any time to get in here and do any of that. So we're really only about 2 sticks high, or maybe 10 foot off the ground if we're lucky. But it's super thick in here, and deer could be on top of us at any moment. Airport buck, sure he loves to come down in here and get right in that big and J right before dark. So that's what we're banking on tonight. Hang in there, we're gonna get some action.
Next thing we know, I start seeing some movement up in the brush, and all I can see is kind of some legs, and I'm watching. Here he came. He walked right down this path facing us, head low, because it's so thick in there, and I knew it was on then.
Let's go. Good shot, guys.
Let's go.
Great shot.
Oh my God. Terry faced.
What an evening, buddy.
Let's go.
Dude,
I didn't think it. I just got permission to hunt this place like 2 weeks ago. There's 10 acres of woods, and it's just surrounded by hay fields. There's no food around, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get in there and throw a camera and some corn and some Big and J, and you see what I found in here. I was pumped. I knew when he came in, the first top card pull, he's like the second deer I seen. I was like, I gotta be in there. I don't know why he's in there. He ain't got no food around but some browns in here, but I gotta be in there. Oh, shit. We just shot him. We're coming down here. I left my bow over by the fence. We're gonna see if there's any blood on the ground. We got to looking at the footage. It's not as good of a shot as I initially thought, but he's quartering away. And I'm pretty sure it's in the opposite shoulder. I think he got him, but determine how much time we want to give him. Initially, we thought it was a great shot, and then after going back and looking at the footage, it ended up being a little further back than what we'd like. So we wasn't 100% sure if I'd gotten the lungs or not, but we knew that if we gave him some time, he would expire. So we come back and we follow blood, and I had no luck, wasn't finding the best blood ever, so we decided to give him till in the morning. And then me and Nelson come back and continue to follow that blood trail, and he actually runs to the property line of the neighboring property. So we decided we got to pull out. We got to go get permission from the neighbor. He was gracious enough to give us permission, and we knew there was one wood lot that blood trail was headed right for. So we get over there, and he's gracious enough to give us permission, and lo and behold, we walk up into that wood lot, and not 5 minutes, by the time we get over there, Nelson actually jumps a deer, and he calls me and he says, "Hey man, I've jumped this deer. I'm gonna go up here and check his bed and see if it's the deer that you'd shot, see if there's any blood in the bed." And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start heading your direction. So I start eating up his way, and I get a phone call again, and Nelson says, "Hey man, I found your deer." And I'm like, what? So I ran crushing through the brush, got up there, and it was actually the deer he jumped was that young buck that was running with him. They had bedded down together that night, and he had expired well earlier than what we had thought. So the second time we came, he was probably expired, and I couldn't have been happier. I have to say, it has been one long night. Hardly any sleep thinking about this deer. I knew I'd made a marginal shot, and it happens in archery, bow hunting. But he is down. He was probably dead a lot sooner than what we thought. But man, unbelievable character. Little mini drop tine in the back. This is a sweet, sweet deer. The airport buck. Yep, he's a beautiful deer, Dad. He is. He's got a ton of character. He
he had expired long before we thought. We didn't need to give him as much time as we did, but glad we did.
Yeah, you did the right thing regardless, so congratulations. All right, so go ahead and get him out there before it gets warm on you today.
Yep, we're gonna start working on it.
Yes, bye-bye.
All right, bye.
I couldn't be thankful enough for Nelson to come film me, and then our sponsors, the Quiet Cat, actually, it was a huge help because I couldn't drive my truck to the end of the runway, and that's no small hike. So actually bringing Big and Jay in and things, they said I could get the Quiet Cat and drive it straight down the runway. I just couldn't take the truck. So I got to throw Big and Jay or corn, cameras, what have you, and ride the Quiet Cat all the way down to my spot. So it's my best deer to date, and I couldn't be any happier.